What's up, guys? Welcome to Moped Jet. What exactly is Moped Jet? It's a podcast about me and me alone, where I'm just gonna be talking and. Why is it called Moped Jet? Because I want a moped and I want a jet, and that's it. That's it. That's all I want out of life, and I'm not gonna stop this podcast and all my endeavors until I get it. Uh, I've tried to start this podcast. This will be my third, I guess technically my fourth attempt at starting this podcast, because last week I recorded my third attempt and it just was not it. All last week I just was not myself. I tried to go caffeine less, and I don't consider myself a caffeine person. Like, some people literally can't do anything until they get coffee or something. I guess I'm caffeine assisted, because last week I just was like, I started a lot of things. It just didn't finish them. And it was like, I had the drive to do it. Like, I drove to an open mic, and I literally walked up to the door and put my hand on the door. But then I just didn't feel it. And so I just went back to my car, went home. I did that with working out, where I showed up to the actual gym, walked a little bit on the treadmill for like literally 3 minutes, and said, not feeling it. But this week is going pretty well. I don't drink coffee. I drink the trendy brand Celsius. And if you haven't tried that, guarantee it will get you up off your feet. It's such a good brand. But I didn't know how dependent on it I would become to do stuff. And it's kind of scary. And but I've conceded. Whatever. I'm too old, man. I'm too old to try to find this natural burst of energy. If I have to drink a Celsius, what the fuck ever. Just to get things done, fine. I'll do it. Speaking of my comedy, this is also the reason why I started this podcast, because I record this podcast on the same days that I do open mics downtown, and this is supposed to, like, help me practice bits and help me get into the mode of, talking, I guess, and coming up with funny stuff. A little bit. And also about that episode I started, I'll get into it right now. A little bit about that. I was going to use that episode. Let me turn my mic up a little bit. I was going to use that episode to. I thought it was going to be quick to briefly go over my comedy career so far, because it has been going well. But it wasn't quick. So I'm just going to give you guys a quick summary. So far, I've only done 9 sets. All 9, I've gotten laughs, which is great for my confidence. I honestly, in the last set, especially, my 9th set, the set before that, some guy came up to me, and he was with a friend, and he was just like, bro, I'm with my friend, but you were definitely top 3 of the night. And I can only assume he was ranking his friend, and then another comic I know who's my friend, and he's really, really, really funny. So he, to me, was the funniest that night. So it had to be those two. So I was honestly more like top 2. If you really want to think about it. Minus his friend, I was top 2 that night on my 8th set of comedy. And 9th set of comedy, no one came up to me and said I was the best. My brain is saying I was the best that night. Because the whole time, it was a tough crowd. And there were a lot of good comics. Like my friend, he got up there and got some great laughs. But they just weren't, consistently howling. But when I got up there, bro, it was just like Laugh City, bro. They didn't know what to do. It was a pack of hyenas I was talking to, I thought. I was making them howl over. And I knew I got respect, because I've been there for a while. And there's a lot of comics that have been doing it for a while that show up to every open mic. None of them usually came up to me and talked to me other than my friend, who is one of these comics, by the way. Really funny. Definitely a veteran. Definitely established. Not like famous established. You know what I'm saying? But he definitely knows what he's doing. He definitely respected comic in the area. He always gave me my props. But this time, like, all the comics that were veterans came up to me and they were like, what's your name? And, like, that was a great set. Like, he had some good laughs. They all wanted to talk to me after the show. It was a great feeling, to be honest. And I honestly didn't think I would get that from comedy. People always told me that I would be a decent comedian, but I always thought that was a way of them telling me to shut the fuck up. You know, like I was talking too much or I was trying too many jokes, and it's like, ha ha ha, you should go on the road, like one of those comments. But now I'm seeing what people were meaning, because I mean, it just comes so natural to me. And I'm speaking like I'm like already a world class comedian or some shit like that. But I'm starting way better than I thought I would. I thought I'd have to do like through the trenches, find at least one or three jokes that makes them laugh every time. But I think it was like my fourth, fifth set where I just tried to wing it. And people loved it. Where I was just like, there was a lot of times where I honestly was like, guys, I don't know what to say right now. And people laughed at that. Like, I don't know. I should have wrote something down. And I was just honestly being honest. Honestly being honest. Wow. Redundantly being redundant. And it made people laugh. So, I don't know. It's just fun. It is also a lot of fun. So, try to have that fun in this podcast. Just because, you know, the open mic is so local. Hopefully I can, like, push this energy that I've garnered out onto the internet waves and curate a similar experience. These are not how my sets go, by the way. This is definitely more off the cuff, more personable. But enough about my comedy. I wanted to move. I am also a musician, if you don't know this, and I make music, and this is my way. And I'm always researching music, and that's honestly where my true passion is. Comedy is quickly becoming my second passion, just because I like the like experimental process of figuring out what makes people laugh, that finding that golden joke at the golden moment. Like, it's so great being like the engineer to that. But music has always been my greatest passion, and I'm actually working on a new project now. And I was researching music, and I came across one of my favorite artists, Frank Ocean. He's in a bit of a pickle. He's in a bit of a debacle. And he performed at Coachella. He performed music from his ever growing in reception album, Blonde, which is so crazy. Because when Blonde, if you don't know about Frank Ocean, look him up. He's great. And look up Blonde. Blonde, when it first came out, I missed it. Like, it went over my head for sure. But I think that album, and only Yeezus is the only other album I could think of that got better over time, that were truly ahead of their times. But Blonde is like proving to be way ahead of its time, because it seems like Frank Ocean hasn't dropped anything. He dropped a couple singles here and there, but album-wise, no. But it seems like he gets more fans, and he gets more infamy as more music listeners join. I mean, more music listening generations get old enough, figure out about artists, they stumble upon Frank Ocean, and Blonde is becoming like some sort of like artistic cult classic. And I went back to it recently, and it's good. I didn't appreciate it before when it first dropped. That was boring, but it's good. But I'm not here to talk about Frank Ocean. Obviously, I'm a fan. I mean, I am here to talk about Frank Ocean. Obviously, I'm a fan, but I'm not here to talk about my fandom of Frank Ocean. I'm tired to talk about the debacle of Frank Ocean. And at Coachella, he got into an issue with his fans because he was performing, and people said he wasn't performing 100%. And he was doing a lot of stuff like sitting and like mouthing to the music, but not really singing it, dancing. But a lot of people are like, oh, Frank Ocean sucks because of that. And I'm just like, he's an artist, you know? And I think people, and I'm kind of using this as a way, and probably close out the podcast with this because these are going to be short. I'm using this as a way to talk about the artist versus the entertainer. I feel like, and I've said this back in 2014 when you guys weren't there and weren't listening because you couldn't, but I've been saying this for a while, that if you keep lowering the bar and letting anybody with a trendy sound in, it's also going to not only spoil the industry, but the audience as well. They're going to not know what artistry is. And yes, people might think this is a weak defense, but it's not. If you're an artist and you follow some of these people's careers, it makes total sense what Frank Ocean did. Frank Ocean has never performed for us. He's always done stuff for his vision because it's dope. Like, for example, what was my example? Just left my brain right as I said, for example. But he's just always been elusive. When Apple gave him an exclusive deal to drop an album exclusively for them, he drops like a long ass visual album that technically met all the parameters and certifications so he can get the bag. And I don't blame him for that. After he lost Best New Artist to One Direction and Fun, I'd say fuck the people in the industry too. Just give me the money. Especially after Channel Orange. So, I mean, this was a lot more scatterbrained than I thought it would be because I'm coming up to my time. But I'm pretty much just saying, when it comes to artistry and entertaining, an artist will always create what they want to see and give that to y'all, and let us do what we will with it. An entertainer will give us something because they know it's what we want. And if it wasn't what we wanted, they will quickly transform and into something else. Whereas an artist will be like, well, this is me, man. This is what I got, and this is what I do. And if you like it, cool. If you don't, cool. I'm just going to keep doing that. Frank Ocean, to me, has always been an artist like that. There's very few that can be both. I think The Weeknd is very good at being an artist and an entertainer. Childish Gambino. But yeah, even hardcore acts like, if you think about Kendrick Lamar, is he really like an entertaining ass act? Have you seen his concerts? Been to his concerts? He sometimes like low down preaches to you. So it's you got to really research who you're fanning. You got to look into who you're gonna see, and also fuck those rich Coachella kids. I'm glad he sat down on their asses because you're rich. And I know money doesn't mean that it doesn't solve everything, but it was your choice to take all that money and spend about $1,000 to go see Frank Ocean. He didn't ask you to do that. And that's another thing about it. People are getting mad at him. Like, I paid money. People traveled across the world. Okay. Alright. No one asked you to do that at all. You chose. You could have listened to him on Spotify for free. Or relatively free. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, it just feels a little bit like Dance Monkey when they complain like that. Like, oh, I traveled, or people traveled, or I paid, people paid. So what, dude? Artists are freelance workers. He was requested by Coachella. He didn't ask Coachella to bring him out of his cave. They asked him, Frank Ocean, what do we need to do to get you out of your cave and perform at Coachella? He said, you got to let me do whatever I want and have an hour. And that was it. And they got the money. It has nothing. In fact, those ticket prices are all on Coachella too. They only made them that expensive because they have to make up a profit after paying all these people to come to these shows. These people aren't begging to be on Coachella. The only people begging to be on Coachella are people like me. People that need exposure. People that need representation in a fan base build. Frank Ocean will have actually probably would have got more fans if he didn't show up to Coachella. You know what I'm saying? Because now he has this to handle. He has this to like sort out, and he's not gonna sort it out because he's Frank Ocean. He doesn't give a fuck about y'all. I mean, I'm not that he doesn't. I'm speaking so like. I'm not trying to speak so for him because he does not know who I am, and I do not know who he is for real. I just like his music and how he sings and shit. But yeah, that's pretty much like. He's not an entertainer, and that's pretty much what I was trying to say. My artist versus entertainer point is way deeper than that, but I'm trying to do it off the top to make it reflect my argument for Frank Ocean's performance. So basically, yeah, you should have expected that. I'm not going to go to a Tyler, the Creator concert and expect him to want us to hold hands and be chill. He's a zany, wild guy. I'm expecting him to tell me, fuck off. I'm expecting him to call someone out in the crowd and make fun of them. I'm expecting him to throw a chair, even. Like, you gotta know what you're gonna go see. I went to the Weeknd concert recently, and I saw people walk out of that in Chicago, and it wasn't the time when he lost his voice. And I was thinking, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? He's here singing and dancing for us. Sounds almost exactly like the record. What did you expect? Like, I don't get the privilege in audiences, man. So that's why, like, comedy is starting to quickly become my passion, because I'm looking at the music industry, and even if I finally do break through, do I want to sing and dance for y'all? For real? Like, my music to me is like pieces of my soul, and I'm such a face ass for saying that. But it's on record, and it's gonna be there forever. But yes, music to me is like chunks of me curated in a consumable waveform for your ears. And it's like my visions of the world, my emotions of the world, my low-key insecurity at times. And for y'all to just like throw water bottles at people, grab at their junk, say that they're mid after like singing a song about their heartbreak, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I'd almost just rather crack a joke. I'd almost rather crack jokes. I'd rather just make you laugh at that point. But I just know I'm too dope to give up on music. And it sounds like I'm like teetering between giving up. I'm so far from giving up just because I love making music. But it's just, I might switch the trajectory a little bit. Like, go really hard in this comedy shit. Because I think I got potential, man. I think I could really... I'm not posting any of my sets. I know that, like... Because I researched comics like I researched musicians before I became a comedian. And all of them say, like, just keep working on your shit. There's no such thing as developing... Well, this is kind of what I concluded from it. Because if you ask every comic, like, for advice, they'll all just say, keep going up, keep doing it. But as I went up and I have done it, I've come in to find comedy really is not in your control. It really isn't. Things that you think are so funny are not to people, and things that are not that funny are so funny to people. There'll be times where I'm saying something off the cuff to lead into something, and the laughs I got from that off the cuff thing completely fucks up my train of thought from my original thing. And then I'll keep going, and then I'll get back into my original thing, and then I'm like, oh, they thought that was funny? Wait till they hear this. And then it's like crickets, you know? So, alright, enough about me and music, enough about Frank Ocean. We got a few more minutes. What else can I talk about? Shit. Ooh, I've been doing Uber. I don't have enough time to get into it, but I do have to do Uber stories. Because there's a few Uber stories. I've been trying to make some extra money, man, because this world is cold and it's harsh. So I've been trying to build a bank to, you know, make a nest egg for my future kids if I have any. Or even just for me, man. And will my hair always look like this in every podcast? Yes. Will I always be in a closet? In my closet? Why did I sound like a robot? In a closet? No, I will not. It's up to y'all. Y'all got to make me pop off and give me some money, man. Give me some money, man. How do you do that? Just simply subscribe. Just subscribe and like this video. Let me know what you thought of the podcast. I'm going to keep doing it regardless because it's a good way to warm up my brain before I go and do my thing tonight. But yeah, I think that's a good stopping point. If I keep talking, it's just going to meander. It's going to be some bullshit. So thank you for listening to As Far As You Did. This is Moped Jet. Why? Because I want a moped and a jet. Until I get it, I'm going to keep going.